Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's
Anyway.
what I asked when I came in.
Stream literally didn't start yet. I was trying to say like, yo, it's
Yeah,
not up.
I was about to do a little voice acting for you.
God damn, this has happened so often.
No, it's fine. Just
Voice
let me
acting boner
know.
killed.
Just
It should be live now.
good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Starting today is the Prince of Pawns, the Baron of Breadcrumbs himself, Father Oates.
Oh, I think I'm gonna steal the audio clip and use it.
You are very much welcome. Take that as
Thank you,
much as you
Sarge.
want.
I appreciate it.
Of
Anyway,
course.
to say a little bit about today's guest he is I would consider a writer and a good friend. Listen, I'm not gonna spend all day buttering you up. Here's Reed is showing up, so let me move him down back to my. Oh shit.
1 second. Put me right next to Sarge.
That's a lot.
He can whisper shit in my ear like a little demon.
I want to
Yeah.
whisper something into
You can
his
be his tulpa spirit.
sweet supple ear.
Alright.
Yeah.
You get the grippies good.
A work so far
Oh,
on
no.
the AO3 website, which is the Yoldern Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, okay. You know what? How about we get introductions out of the way? I am Sarge, or Sergeant Genitals, as most might know me as. I am an amateur in almost everything that I do. I do casual writing, that most of which has and will probably never be published. And I do a lot of voice acting. Majority of it winds up being, my lord, excuse me. Majority of it winds up being just me doing funny voices. I have my favorites. So does everybody else. God, you guys absolutely fucking love some of the weirder ones.
I mean, what's the fun without a little bit of lunacy? There,
I need to remember who I'm sitting with here. So, I will state that I have fun. That's my main focus, and the fun usually comes from either me finding some form of enjoyment of I find this cool, or I find this funny, or just entertaining myself. Main purpose that I usually have when it comes to something like this, just general day-to-day fun having is making other people enjoy. And most enjoyment usually comes from I would never ever state that I am funny. If someone else thinks I'm funny, they are more than happy to state that for me. For the most part, a man should never state that he is funny and expect people to believe him outright.
It's like how how I state that I'm not very witty or smart or interesting, and yet there are people watching this right now.
I mean, you would absolutely agree that if I were to reach across the table, grab you, and then I don't know, like Jim Carrey's The Mask, form you into a balloon animal Tommy gun, it would probably be on par for your brand.
Yeah, right about there.
Yeah, so that's a natural state for you. So you're a whimsical little guy, Goose.
Mm-hmm. I'm made of
You're
rubber.
A whimsical
I
little
can
fowl.
Take many forms. I adapt well.
He tries to
He
kill me
is
every
the
day.
funny goose man.
Silly goose.
Okay. But I will. You know what? This is yours, so I don't want to overtake this. I'm the guest.
This is you're in the spotlight here, but of course I do have.
You're the one in running the interview, my friend.
True. Oh, did you see the last one? Apparently the interview ran me.
I will show my bashful red cheeks to everyone here and say, not those ones, that I did not in fact watch the one with Umbra.
It was 4 hours long.
How dare
was
you.
Outstandingly
Yeah.
long.
Okay, here come the shackles and the public training.
You know what? How dare you? You didn't watch the Umbra one. We shielded Iron Will for like a good 2 hours.
Yeah.
That we did.
Hey, Reborn to Inherit the Stars. Anyway, I suppose I should get on with the first question of, when did you discover your love for writing? With how much writing
Honestly.
you have here,
Honestly,
it's clear there's a love for it.
I do have a love. I have a love for creation. Even when I was young, I was one of those kids who everyone when they were kids, they had these dramatic these grand operas that they would have when they were just playing with their toys. And it's that meme that you've seen. It's just a kid smacking action figures together, but the lore behind it is literally, and it'll just show you like a sky view of like Halo Wars and like all the conflict that's going on there, or one of the splash pages. It looks like that, and ever since I was a kid, it's never gone away. It's still going on. It's still going on, and throughout middle school is when I actually started trying to sort of harness that, because I had this idea for one series, and it's I can tell you about it. It's dead. It's gone. I've made my peace with it. It's never coming back. I had this series that I wanted to call Champions, and it was this. It was essentially history of the beginnings of a feud between 5 families that started off as sort of kindred in essence, and through other means and whatnot, they are separated. And the thing about these 5 families is that there's no royalty involved. There's nothing inherently fantastical. It's just that they were given, their ancestors were given the ability over a specific element. You have fire, you have water, earth, air, and lightning, because I was a fucking douche and thought that was a different thing. So that's where that came from. And I remember it was very rough, and when I started it, it wasn't going anywhere, and it wasn't going to go anywhere. And I brought what I had to my science teacher, because I knew he was also an English teacher. And I brought it to him, and he was like, you have some good grounds. You just really need to work on your pacing. And the fact that he didn't just sit there and go, wow, this is really good, actually did a lot for me. I was getting like, what you have here is interesting, but I need you to just give me a little bit more explanation, or go like slow it down with your pacing. Like, he would give me like legitimate criticisms, which, I mean, at the earliest stage of writing, that's what you really need. As I've grown up, since like I had so much planned for that. It was supposed to be like a fucking 6-book series, or at least a 6 event, because I wanted to make video games back in the day, and no.
You had concept creep hit you like a bitch.
Yeah. Oh man, that was I was a starry-eyed child with aspirations for beyond the moon, and they're never happening.
Yeah.
Never happening. It's
know
bloated.
That concept creep still is a thing for you.
Yeah.
Yes. I will 100% admit that I am still a slave to my own imagination, and
I get it 100% with that creativity.
Yeah. I mean, even in my own writing, it's why, like, every now and then I, to myself, write poetry. No, you can't. It's mine.
At least you can write your shit down, Sarge. I got that imagination. Best I can do is start acting it out, standing by myself in a bedroom.
Listen, I'm just over here.
Well, okay. I guess I need to. Reestablish. So, I started working at my job about 2.5 years ago, and my job at the time was walk around parking lots and then get stood at one spot for an hour, don't do anything. For that hour, stand still, don't do anything. Because you can't. You're not going to have anyone posted there with you. No one's allowed to show up and talk to you because you're posted. And it's especially not one of your other coworkers because they're supposed to be checking the garage. So for an hour at a time, you are sat in one spot, miserable, with nothing to do. And this is in the middle of the night. And this is like total, if it's not that bad of a day, 4 hours. A bad day, 8 hours, where you're standing in one spot, doing nothing. So we had this one post. Everyone was driven fucking crazy by it. It was essentially, you were in the bottom of the hotel in our receiving area. No one goes there. Like, half the staff don't even know that it's there. And they sit you down there solely because our receiving, still to this day, can't be fucked to have an office down there with somebody in it. So we would get posted down there, and it was either, the 4 hours throughout the night, or bad enough, 8-hour posts. Well, they gave me a little notebook, and it's I think I sent you an image. It has like the 6 notebooks, or 7 notebooks.
Let me see if I can find it here. I haven't gone too far. Hold on.
So the blue one is the one that I started with, and this one you can see it's pretty beat to shit.
Little technical thing.
And I had these like dancing thoughts on the tip of my tongue of like thinking of what would be a psychotic thing that I could write into like a fantasy type setting, because fantasy, for me at least, or at least off fantasy, comes quite naturally for me. I was getting into Warhammer Fantasy at the time, so like somewhat mechanized Renaissance era or medieval mixings. Those are fantastic for me. So the first thing I ever wrote, in accordance with what everyone keeps hearing about me in VC from, is Letters from Urtaf, this little thing that has been absorbing my mind for the past 2.5 years since I started this job. And the first thing I ever wrote was called The Blooded Virgin. And it was about essentially a specter in a monastery high up in the mountains that would show up to people who were ne'er-do-welling in an ancient monastery full of monks who were essentially just meditating or praying, and essentially would inflict spectral wounds on them that wouldn't heal no matter what you did, and you just bleed to death. That was essentially it. She would show up, she'd be covered in scars and lesions, and all of them would disappear, and then probably about less than 5 minutes later, they'd all appear on you, and you just bleed to death, and that's it. It was interesting. It was a thing that I look at now, and it's like, all right, it's a little interesting, a little edgy, but it works. It's the first thing I ever wrote for it, and it was the start of where everything else would come from, because I started writing, and I could look through this thing, and I chuckle to myself when I think about it, is that there's so many things in here that have either become different, or they've changed, or just outright been removed entirely, and it just sits in there. This little light blue one is probably the first one, and it's probably the most rough. I could say about any of them. Every other one after that is just been, instead of me writing down stuff of just like, hey, this is like a concept that I came up with, it's more of, okay, it's me arguing with myself about how to make this work. And that's essentially what I wind up doing. That's, if I had if I had something that I could be so bold as to say a style or a method to my madness of writing, it's literally I stand at a door for an hour at a time and I write. And I essentially, my writing is arguing with myself for the hour, maybe writing down like a page's worth of text, which if you see some of what's in there, those pages aren't very big. So I had to learn how to write. Like, I already wrote pretty small as is. So I was writing really small there. Nevertheless, I still don't get to write all that much. So page by page by page by page, it doesn't matter all that much. It's, I'm writing a lot and I'm getting through a lot of pages, which honestly feels really good when you do it, until you, if I were to take all of that information and put it down, it'd probably match up to maybe, God, what's usable in there is, for all of them, is probably somewhere close to
Like a standard composition notebook that you'd use for science class.
probably like it, that point it's impressive. But when you put into perspective that I have 7 of these now, 3 of which are completely filled front to back with everything, and only a little bit of it, like the blue one, I think I started in the back and then started working my way towards the front. And I specifically started working my way from the back because the front side has all of my work stuff that I have. It even says property of, well, I'm just going to substitute that, Sergeant Genitals, Security Officer Level 2, Graveyard Shift.
Fucking
that was,
boneyard.
yeah, well, okay, you little bastard.
Would you say that them placing in this purgatory is like what made you like get off your proverbial ass just to start writing? Beyond just inspiration.
Well, them sticking me in
do you think you would
hell.
have gotten this far if they didn't stick you in the purgatory zone?
I can tell you outright, there are nights in which I have never stopped moving, and not a single thought of Urtaf came into my head. There are other nights where I'll be moving around really. I'll still be moving around just about the same amount. Writing will come in my head. It's not going to happen. Nothing I can do. So that's the unfortunate part, is that the writing is there because I'll get the dumbest spots of inspiration hit me while I'm at work. And yes, it's always at work. I've tried writing at home. It doesn't work. I just can't do it. I don't know why. But when I'm at work, because my job is as easy as looking at people. My job is looking at people and making sure that they don't set the place on fire. That's it. That's my job. And everything in between, from when I start to when I clock out, is just that. Hello, welcome in. May I take your ID? How are you doing today? Okay, here is your ID. Enjoy yourself.
May I take your hat, sir?
Me idea. Yeah, you're not wrong, actually. But if I were to get a little bit more, would it be technical, or it's one of those things where work life has built my writing life and more writing style. It is 100% based off of, I think the best way that I could describe how I write specifically is I will take an emotion that I have, and this is something I did recently. Reed got a taste of this a little bit, and he told me what he thought. And yeah, the little recording.
Yep, which is
Yep.
amazing, by the way.
You love twisting. Well, okay. We're gonna be polite. We're live. We I will take an emotion and I will write solely based on that. And if you are writing about something like with me and Urtaf, because I've been working on this for 2.5 years, and I have the world, I have characters, I have cultures, all built up, and they're all trapped up within this dome. And sure, I may not be able to pull everything out like immediately, like an encyclopedia, much to the surprise of all of you, or rather the disbelief to all of you that
I mean, you have your
that's
books around you. You can pull those out at any time. You know,
brother.
hang out.
If it's somewhere in there, I would love to know, because I could make guesses. The only thing that I know for fact is the green one, the first green one, the one that looks beat up. That's the one that has my maps in it, which
I have.
I sent you those as.
Up. There you go.
Okay, so which one do you have up? Is it the one that's
It's
like?
the one with the 3 pages of different maps.
Oh God, that one. Okay, so those are some of the more actual usable maps. So the one I think top left is the one that looks like a heart, like an actual like anatomical heart.
Yeah, it kind of looks like I can see that.
Okay, so that is the Eastern Kingdoms. So I have a much worse looking map of that, and it looks like it's shoved at the bottom of the page because I kind of drew it, and it looks awful. It looks horrible. I hate that map so much. And that's you can see the mountains, which I believe is also in there. It just looks like it has a bunch of circles and like trail markers in between it. Like I need to. Oh my God, that one needs to be redrawn so badly, but I just can't. I can't fathom what the map would actually look like. Of course, they're all like as rough as could be, but it's one of those instances of it's just not going to get fixed.
I found the one that was in the margins of the page.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
Mildred, I think I found this. Sorry, the page is a little bit small for me because the.
Mildred, Ascan, Yolder, and I think Anushinan was slapped in there somewhere.
Yeah, this is the little tiny margins one.
Yep. So that was the first ever map I ever made because I knew, okay, England, Russia, and Germany are all going to be as close as can possibly fucking be, and there's no problems. There's no problems are going to come from this.
These people like each other.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh no! Somebody shot the Archduke.
Oh no! World War One.
It's all just.
It'll be
It'll
fine. We
fine.
haven't reached the industrial age yet, except for you, Yolder. I'm looking directly at you. Stop.
Okay. For a little bit more context here, if we're gonna start making jokes about the industrial ages, I suppose some explanation should be made. So, in Urtaf, in the world of Urtaf, one thing should be noted as just a concept. Magic is everything. If you want to put it into a more scientific explanation, it's atoms. It is the literal existence of matter itself. If you want to put it into more loosey-goosey terms, it's in everything. It's the same explanation. Go about it 2 ways.
I mean, check who you're sitting with. Of course, I want to.
Yes. So, magic is essentially, if you want to put it to that, the manipulation of the universe itself to your whim. The problem, because gods exist, and gods, we'll get to God specifically, in a minute. But
Points at a chaos-shaped god.
I
Points at the four hands of God. It's four, right? Yeah, I think it's four hands
points
of
at
God.
my chaos-shaped
They
eyes.
point back.
All according to plan.
What I will say is, because magic is an essence of the divine, it doesn't like to be touched, most especially by filthy fucking mortal hands. So what magic will do essentially when it's touched is whatever it's being channeled through, which more often than not, if you're someone who doesn't understand the basic concept, you will be channeling this through your hand, which normally in any other setting, no problems. No issues there whatsoever. You're just going to put all this magic right in your hand and just like shoot it out or do whatever you're trying to do with it. Congratulations, you have just given yourself essentially the rot. It just eats through. It devours and it just eats and destroys whatever it is put through. It is essentially, it's like radiation. Whatever you put it through, it's destroying it. Whether it's organic, inorganic, somewhere in between, it is going to destroy it. It's just a matter of time. So,
I mean,
the
blast radius has to come from somewhere. You can't just create or destroy matter. And so it works on the exchange principle, doesn't it? You are exchanging part of yourself for there to be fire.
Well, that's if you continue to do it with just your hands. What we're supposed to do, this is the safe variety, is you are supposed to have some form of object in your hands. And yes, this is me giving wizards and mages an excuse to use staves and wands.
I'll be over here pondering my orb.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, bud. I'm sure you will.
You think you're gonna be pondering your orb? I'm just gonna pull out like a bone somewhere and be like, "This is my magic staff."
I think. Well,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I think you should pull out more of a macho. Bone saw is ready. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in here in my tower, studying the secrets of undeath. Behold, my collection of orbs!
So, with the magic, is
outside
it
my
possible
tower.
to have a steel folding chair be your magical source?
Your conduit of a steel folding
If
chair?
you manage to, you know what, we'll get to how you got a steel chair in, because there is a possibility of that coming in, and I will allow you this just because I know where you're going with this, and I know what you're trying to do right now, and you're gonna make me go off script here. Anyways,
There's a script.
magic.
Where
If
am
you
I getting
channel
that?
it through an object instead of your own hand, that object will take all of the issues. The magic will eat through the object rather than your own hand, which I would imagine is preferable, because whatever magic does to an object can't be undone. And what I mean specifically is, if you channel magic through something and it deteriorates because of that, whether it be your own hand or a staff or hell, a rock, it is irreversible what that deterioration does. So if you get like open wounds that are bleeding, congratulations, you are bleeding for the rest of your continued life. Like, that wound is there. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to clot. It's not going to close up. It's there. And you're probably going to die. It is, sure, that is a very harsh reality, but reality itself is harsh in that same turn. Mistakes will be made, and you will either learn from them, or you will be the lesson someone else has. It's like what was that joke? The one caveman eats a berry, winds up shitting himself to death. The other caveman, noted.
Yeah.
That's essentially the same way. That's the same way people figured out magic. Well, not Exactly, but that gets into actual lore stuff. A few more basic concept that I want to get into before anything else is out like types of people that you'll encounter in this world, where you'll have Anushans, mutes, and I think the third one specifically is Outlanders, which, don't worry, Reed, I'm saving that one for last, just for you. So I think we'll start with mutes. Mutes are, unfortunately, people with no soul. They cannot cast magic on their own, but they can use enchanted objects perfectly fine. It is the only form of magic or casting that they are capable of, is using an object that has a set preordained function, and that's all the function that they get. Now, mutes are not seen in a good light, not just because they don't have a soul, but mainly because the religion that majority of the world subscribes to centers around 4 divine hands. And you could see these as the 4 hands of creation. Creation being the catch-all term for God. Specifically, capital G-O-D. God is essentially the sun, or rather, something inside of the sun. The 4 hands make up the concept of creation. You have life, order, fate, and chaos, and they make up the reality of which we exist within. Now, when someone is being made, fate, of course, ordains their existence. Order demands, that everything falls in a proper form and whatnot. And life creates your form and as well breathes a sacred word, which is to be believed, the soul, into what is essentially your vessel. Well, mutes are this odd little thing that Chaos kind of involves himself in that process that he's not included in whatsoever. Well, he'll just kind of like stick a finger into the pie, stick 2, have some fun with it, and then just shove the whole hand in.
He's like Kronk. He pull a lever.
He pull a lever, and it's always the wrong one. So this person never gets that sacred word breathed into them. So they are essentially born with no soul, no connection to this divine essence that makes them what they are. And in essence, when they die, that's it. That is, you are born, people acknowledge that you are not born of God, and are treated how you would imagine a medieval society to treat somebody like that. And then when you die, you're a cheeky little bastard.
I actually have a question about that. So the mutes, they can't be resurrected as undead, can they? Since they don't have a soul.
There's no soul to resurrect. So when they die, that's it. It's snuffs.
That fate. So hey,
they get spared that fate. They get spared that fate.
That makes them good undead hunters, though.
It just making me think like fucking a fucking vampire bites them and they just drop dead because they can't contract it. They just fucking die.
So vampires are funny because they don't actually die.
The same.
So if you want an explanation of how vampires work, I could legitimately explain it as vampires are somewhat of a zombie plague where you keep your sentience. So essentially, you will get infected, and whether it's like you can scratch somebody and they can get infected with it that way. You can bite them, and you don't even have to suck blood. It's just it's the transfer of bacteria, essentially, in the same way that any contagion works or plague.
It's a transmittable virus.
Yes, it is a transmittable virus, and that's what the vampire plague, I just call it V plague. That's what it is. It is essentially where it starts off with one dude who's really hungry, and he may not have the time to actually kill his target so that he can get some food, which in this setting, vampires are legit cannibals. None of this I only drink blood stuff. They full on eat the person.
Like the classical stuff.
They start
Yeah.
craving the long pig.
Vlad the Impaler, who was, I mean, they said he drank blood, but there's also accounts of him eating hearts.
Yep. Except in this account, he just eats all of it.
So he's like a South
He was
American
hungry,
tribe.
I'm sorry.
You know, Reed, I'm not going to agree with you based on the counts that I don't have a career to cancel yet, and I don't want this to come back to bite me.
No, I'm saying it's like cannibal tribes. They just fucking eat people.
No, I know.
Vampires like the taste of tattoos, because some
Do they have
accounts
the taste of
notorious
tattoos?
cannibals, of notorious cannibals. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got you.
He says that he didn't ever hunt people's tattoos because they taste bad.
Yeah, it's the ink. What a surprise. You eat inked skin, it doesn't taste good.
They're telling me I should get tattoos so cannibals don't chase me down.
That's because like the ink is technically trapped like under your skin.
So does that mean if I walk around with a bunch of like little kids like water tattoos, I'll be safe
No,
from
what
Jeffrey
you
Dahmer
That's on your
types?
that's on your
No,
surface.
Maybe.
what
Listen. If I keep it the same ones, if I just buy like bulk packs of the same tattoos and I just keep overlaying them every time they start to wear.
No, because they scrub
Oh,
off, dog.
Oh, even a worse one. You get a
No,
dick tattoo. So
the
that one guy that
whole purpose of it is to make cannibals think that I have tattoos.
No,
Sorry, buddies. I'm covered in SpongeBob.
you know that one German guy that wanted somebody to consensually eat somebody. So fuck. For some reason that reminds me of.
we I'm getting off track. So essentially, oh god, you know what? I've been jabbering on for we've been going on for 30 minutes now. Has anyone in chat been asking stuff?
No, no one questions so far.
What's that?
Your wife just said Muscle Man's her favorite.
Muscle Man. Oh god damn it.
Let's see. Is
You know what? My roommate's actually awake, so I can get away with it. It's daytime for me.
turn around, point at cars, quick, ask question cars in chat if you're still there.
You know what? While he's asking that question, I'll get the Muscle Man ready.
Oh boy, I'll stay quiet.
You know who else's voice is favorite for Muscle Man? My mom! It's always the scream. It's always the scream, dude.
You don't
Yeah,
need
that'll
to
kill
scream
your
it, bro.
voice.
Who else? However, doing regular Muscle Man, where he's just talking like this all the time, it's not that hard, actually. It's actually really easy, bro. It's actually really pretty easy. It's not too bad. You know what it reminds me of? Who remembers Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yes, cool.
You're Messi.
Yes.
You're Messi.
Who else would I fight,
You're
man?
not dead.
This
You're not
shit
dead. I
is not
swear
fair.
you're a Messi. I'm gonna kick your ass.
I think
You're
it was
Messi.
You pissed on my wife.
No, we're not doing this.
Miss you.
I'm not
I have
the
cursed-
man copy
Okay.
pasta right now.
We're devolving. We're devolving.
DK-man,
devolving
DK-man,
digital.
DK-man, DK-man.
I suppose
Okay.
I could move us back on the track by asking
Right.
another question.
So,
about your like if any relationships you've had have touched your life in a way that is meaningful to your writing.
no. I've had so the Morwen, dearly beloved wife of mine, is probably the first ever actual relationship that I've had. There was one previous. I'm not talking about that here. It was not good by any means of the extent. It was
And would
I
rather
look
not
back
have-
on it in complete disgust with myself as well as, well, just the general nature of it in the first place.
And in your sake, I would not want to say it on any stream whatsoever because
Mm-hmm.
having it recorded, it's fucking.
Yep. No, that's
Yeah,
a death
no,
sentence.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
kinda how it
So
goes,
that's
is,
that's
like,
that's
what
all
I'm
I'll say
doing
is that
right now better
I.
than what you had previously. That's
So,
generally
anyways, back to your writing.
Yeah.
Back to your writing.
let's refocus.
I
here.
wasn't
Let's pivot.
talking like romantic relationships, just like
No. Just
like people who have been in your life who have inspired you in different ways.
Oh. Yeah, I suppose so.
So, who's your
What's that,
roommate
dog?
inspired in your story?
Uh, let's see. Well, he's helped me invent racist remarks for in setting, so that's interesting at least.
I mean,
wait.
every good setting to be.
We got one
realistic
answer.
is those.
We got an answer from Cars. Can you do your Vegeta?
Explain the bit about the mountains in Vegeta.
Yeah.
You want me to explain the giants as Vegeta?
Yes.
So essentially, the Prince of all Saiyans has come and must explain the mountains of Iona to you. You see, Kakarot, the mountains of Iona used to be along the northern border. Lands that used to be called, well, no human mortal knows, that is lost to time itself. One day, the worms of the sky, spelled with a Y, just think of like sky serpents, it's perfectly fine, came to the giants, the literal mountains, and said, hey, we had a vision. We had a vision about you destroying old Iona, that, human country. You're not going to do that, are you? And they said, no, we're not. Why would you ask? Oh, we had a vision that you did. That's crazy. So they went to go ask the humans about it. The humans were like, I don't know. I don't know nothing about that. Then they heard a little whispering from the water. Some of them left. They went crazy, came back. The giants kind of decided, well, we've never punished anybody for no reason, and the worms have never had an incorrect vision, so obviously we have a reason. So they got up and started destroying Iona. The worms came back and started attacking the giants, and there was an all-out battle. The battle of heaven and earth. This battle ended with the mountains, or the giants, being put to eternal slumber, laying atop a decimated Iona. And the worms that were once as plentiful as the birds in the sky were now but a handful, and scattered to the winds.
So that's essentially what happened to the giants.
Why do, for some reason, I
That
just
sounds
imagine
like it was
Vegeta
straight
was.
in your voice.
A little
I was
bit.
just-
Vegeta
I
is
was-
not easy to do for long term.
Sarge, all I could think of was Vegeta just holding like two puppets in his hand while he's talking to Bull and Trunks.
As he's like,
In character for
That's
GT.
crazy. I don't know nothing about that.
Oh, it's like fucking TTS. You got the fucking paper puppets.
yeah.
Yep.
Yes, Kakarot. I know nothing of what you speak.
This is not fucking canon!
Special beam, you're not canon.
Uh,
There you go,
So-
Cars. You got what you wanted.
anyways.
Yeah, gift for cars.
Okay. So we were talking about mutes and their unfortunate lifestyle. So here's what I'll say about mutes. If someone is found out as a mute, they are outright killed. That's you know what I'm talking about.
Something rap industry.
Shut up. So, the mutes don't have a good lifestyle. They are born, they live very either secluded lives or they live lives where they are never honest a day in their life and have to fake every emotion that they show. One thing about mutes is not just that they are incapable of casting magic on their own and need the assistance of enchantments to do it for them. They have a hard time showing emotion. They feel it. They're normal people. They are normal people inside.
So they're
It's
just like autistic.
If you wanted to call it that, sure. They struggle. So what one's up? So I want to put it this way: if they have to enact in sociopathic tendencies to get by in everyday life, in this essence that they will fake every emotion they have on their face, they will project themselves, or they work on trying to project the emotions that they have, and this is to varying standards. There are people that you could meet that never cast any magic in your presence whatsoever. You'd never know that they were a mute, just because of how honest they are. Other ones, mutes are also not very appreciated and called untrustworthy people because they can hide in plain sight, and at sometimes they can outright it's like a chameleon. They can outright lie. They are probably some of the best liars you'll ever meet, simply because if they don't, they die. And everyone around them, no matter how much of a pillar of the community they are, God doesn't acknowledge your existence, you're going up on the board. Sorry to hear it, Jeff. Sorry that you were best man 3 times within this town for all the weddings we've had recently. But I'm sorry, man. You got to go. It was real nice knowing you. I'm just sorry that you are a disgusting degenerate, and you were born like this, and it's no fault of your own. But that's life. So mutes don't have a nice existence. Why did I make them? It popped in my head.
We could tie it in into how mutes are viewed, like you say, in Yolder, if they're any different.
So, Yolder has an interesting perspective on creation. In the essence that you put non-magical people in a magical world and told them, good luck, champ. So they're a little bit jaded about that. They're jaded in somewhat of a different fashion than mutes are, because mutes are anomalous non-magical people put in a magical world. The difference being is that Yoldern aren't hunted for just being part of a country. Mutes are... They're just assholes.
Somebody could be born in Yolder that has like potential to it, but they're in the field of Yolder, so they can't.
No, you see, the problem with Yolder is that you're born German, so inherently you're at a debuff.
You're at a debuff for all the whimsy in the world.
You can say that until someone quick draws on you and leaves you in a hump of mess.
Yes, Good morning.
The elders don't need any magic. They got big iron on their hip.
So, we can get to that. So, what I will say, essentially, we're done with mutes. I want to go to Anusians, because they have somewhat of the same problem, but to a different extent. So, Anusians, you could look at them like half-elves. They have elven features. Pointed ears, more slender figures. They have confusing and otherworldly eye colors, but still somewhat natural in most cases. And they usually wind up having very just silky, long hair. Just they are naturally more interesting to look at than your average person. Sorry. So, problem with Anusians is not their existence. It's how they crop up. You see, nobody knows where they come from. Nobody knows why they happen. Because they come from 2 human parents. 2 human parents, and I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, wouldn't it be considered that they have some form of elven lineage? No. No, considering what the elves were, they're not called the elves. They're called the Navaren, because they did something bad enough that God decided, okay, you don't get to exist anymore, and turned them in. They literally Thanos snapped them out of existence. Difference being is that while the Thanos snap took all their shit with them, in this instance, just imagine Greg is standing in front of you and someone snaps their fingers and all of Dave's skin, like him disappears, and all his clothes and everything with him just kind of slumps onto the floor.
That describes also my favorite way that vampires melt in the sun.
Yeah, all their shit sits behind.
Yeah, their shit's left behind.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Some people say it makes more sense to have the clothes disappear with it because like the heat needed to melt a man.
No, it's specifically
easier to melt.
What is the vampire suddenly fuse with it like a chitinous fold or something?
Yeah, no,
oh my god, we figured it out, guys. Vampires are beetles. They grow the chitinous folds in their clothes.
Yeah,
We figured it out.
They go
They're
through a
beetle
pupa
men.
stage.
So here's the problem: is that people are like, "Oh, it looks nice when you do that." I'm like, "No, I want it to look like it's like a bad rapture happening."
I want
Yes.
the fucking
Yes.
socks to be still tucked into the shoes.
You know what? I expect only certain parts of the vampire to burn in the sun. I'd like to think that
Send
like, oh,
the
you're-
vampire to hell, naked and screaming.
No, like it's only it's only exposed parts that burn off. So it's like the head burns off, but the fucking torso's still there.
That's wild.
God.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. That
You're
would
just
actually
making
be
me
pretty
think,
cool.
A shirtless vampire. I'm just thinking of those like the fucking video of like the pants.
The legs are
walking
going to be
shoes.
left over.
Just the pants walking with the shoes.
It's like one of those
They still have
instances
the
where the
thirst,
top
but
half
it's
burns
forward.
away while he's running, so the bottom half is like still running through the forest until it bumps into something.
Like for a good 7 days, it's gonna run in one direction.
Yeah, until
Yeah,
it
no,
smacks
those
into
pants
something and
still have the vampire's secondary thirst.
shut up, shut up.
You come into my show.
Come to
Ah,
my
yes.
Sunday.
You can faintly hear the ghosts coming from. I want to spread your legs.
Hey, what? What fuck? You gotta go.
I done to suck.
Yeah. V just posted something in general. I think you should put that up. Oh, that's good. That's good. So so Anushans come from essentially nowhere. No one knows where the fuck they come from. And this kind of freaks people out because obviously, because the elves did such a bad fucky-wucky, I'll put it in basic terms, they attempted to genocide the human race, and from the human's perspective, this pissed off God, or creation. This pissed off creation, and creation deleted them. So they think, like, okay, well, this means that the elves and everything elven involved is evil in nature. So now that we have people giving birth to random half-elves, they it's a little wacky zany, it's a little concerning. So initially, naturally, they started killing them en masse. You just have the baby just like, oh, that's unfortunate, dumps it in the pig trough,
Try
goes
again.
on about his day.
And then it's like, oh, it's the mayor's kid. It's like, shit.
Dumps him in the prize pig trough.
I think they would just like give him a thumbs up and say, "Try again."
Pretty much. Post birth, they just echo into the the spread legs, just like, hold on, try again.
And then you get the unlucky scenario where it's a single mother that ends up happening. It's like, shit, I need somebody to take care of me.
Somebody step in. She needs to try again.
Oh no! You know what? Maybe I should keep going. There is a reason as to why this happens. However, because I am a little tease that loves to bother people, I will not say where this comes from. All I will say is that it is worse than you could have figured. That the what winds up happening is a little bit more invasive than you would think it would be. And that is, in some essences, it's this is going to be a make or break for some people when they learn about it. Which, that's fine. Some things can exist in a setting that you don't jive with. I don't jive with the Demunculaba in 40k. Most people don't.
Oh.
Thank you, Sierra. That's what I was looking for.
choose to
Why?
forget that.
Why is that offer?
I
Do
don't like
terrible
thinking
things.
about
My
female
favorite
Skaven,
prayer
but they
legion.
exist.
If you ask me,
Shout
it
out
was
to
an
Kevin on the last
interesting
one.
way to. If you ask me, it was an interesting way to make more Marines. It was at least interesting. It was something.
It was something, but I hate it.
Yeah. So we have mutes, we have Venusians. Now we get to the one that Reed really, really likes asking me questions on. Outlanders. You want to experience the worst isekai of your life? You want to be dropped into my little playground of thought that I've concocted up?
Yes,
That's
sir.
essentially what Outlanders are.
Yes,
And
I like
yes,
eating
Reed,
isekai.
I don't you don't need to tell me. I know you want to play a goddamn D&D game in my setting. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen.
Look, it doesn't have to be in D&D.
It could be Pathfinder. Easily Pathfinder can fit that shit.
Oh my
No.
god, I'm going to there's some nuts getting slapped in here.
I
Oh,
haven't
be
said a
gentle.
single
Gotta
word.
gotta slap him hard enough. Boy, it's not happening.
Sarge boy about to start slapping.
Look.
Listen,
Oh,
listen, Sarge. All I'm asking is to be inserted into your story as just some crazy person who lives in the forest despite it trying to kill him.
Look, all I'm saying is I'm going to turn your setting into an econ scenario.
I'm-
Let me pull up Google spreadsheets real quick.
You know, Canada is giving free healthcare for people like you. I think it's something starts with E. Euthanasia.
I don't care about what's going on in China.
Time to go to the forever box.
Anyways, so excuse me, I'm so sorry. Outlanders are essentially people that, and this is entirely, I've mentioned it before, the entire domain of chaos. Chaos is the reason that these poor fuckers appear here. You could be doing whatever, and these are people that don't exist even within the setting. That you could have Dave from accounting just on his morning commute will just get sucked out of fucking existence and just plopped in the middle of one of the wooded areas and just go, well, that's kind of weird.
That just feels.
And now he's in this setting. Now, the problem with this is this can go from either somewhere between maybe 5 minutes to possibly the rest of your life. You are here for a random amount of time. Now, you're not told any of this. So the minute you show up, you're just kind of having to figure out everything. Why am I suddenly in the woods? Why does no one talk in an American accent? Why everything? Why is everything the way that it is? And everyone that you ask, if you manage to make it to anywhere where there is civilization of any kind, they're going to look at you. They're going to realize, wait a minute, you're not from here. You're an outlander. And they're going to completely ignore you. Probably wondering why. So many of you show up, you are just an inconvenience. You are like waking up and realizing you pissed the bed. Like, well, fuck, man, that sucks.
And what's fun is for the people that are gone for like say 5 years. I don't know how the time works, but let's say it's from the real world and back. Is it 5 years in both timelines? Meaning, oh shit, I've disappeared for 5 years?
Or is it time dilation?
It's a time dilation.
So here's my philosophy on when someone returns back to the world they came from. Who fucking cares?
Oh, who
The
fucking
only
cares?
person who cares is the Outlander. They're not in the setting anymore.
Just making me think because you're just different.
The way
Oh.
I think about it is it could be entirely different for each Outlander too, because
Yeah,
it's not just two worlds; it's multiple worlds that funnel into Urtaf.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So time could work different in each of those fucking dimensions.
Yep.
So what's the
And
chance
for
of
some
an
people, it could be like they were gone for a couple seconds. They're going to be slightly late to their work.
Yep.
Oops.
Or
And they're
you-
going to be
Other
very
people,
confused.
They could be 2,000 years in the future.
Somebody
Or-
whose
Yep.
universe,
or my
works on,
favorite
like,
one.
Oh, go ahead, Reed.
Sorry, for my favorite one, imagine you're in the warp or something, and suddenly your whole ship ends up in Urtaf for like 5 seconds.
No, we are not. We are not inviting 40K with their fucking exterminatus. They are not exterminatusing my fucking setting. Get out.
I'm just thinking, like, fucking. Oh, you're from a world where, like, fucking time, like, is like really, really slow. So you go to some place where the time's just faster, and you die like a fucking housefly in a day.
I haven't thought that deeply on it, if I'm being 100% honest. I just kind of base it, like, and I will state, not every Outlander is human. The only ones that I have put in setting are human, but that's because I'm a lazy schmuck. But when it comes to the concept, no. You can be non-human and go to Urtaf. You're going to be at a disadvantage because majority of the world is humans now. At least in the area of history that we're in.
We get
We're in the
Keebler elves
age
in Urtaf.
of...
Should be wild.
What's that?
The Keebler elves.
We don't need the cookie maker's dog. We don't need the cookie maker's dog.
Wait,
So here's my philosophy on that. If you showed up in town as a Keebler elf, you'd scare the shit out of every fucking person there, because
You'd also be ankle height.
gnomes are theorized to exist. They swear to God, out in some region in Mildred, there is this place called the Amber Hills, and originally there were the ogres of the Amber Hills. It was also theorized that gnomes lived with them, and the people who now live in the Amber Hills in this area, they recount certain shenanigans that happen on average. Gnomes, like there are gnomish shenanigans happening all the time. So, if you show up in a town asking to make cookies, you're gonna scare the shit out of everyone there. Just like, oh my god, they're real!
Yeah, because
And it'll be like,
elves are fucking
someone's
ankle
gonna
height.
know the cookies?
And they'll
I'm
step
already-
on you.
Yeah, we'll get
Oh,
kicked
wait.
into the fucking bushes.
So what if
Double
let's
punch surprise.
let's say Gimli ended up in Urtaf, and it's like he's like the only non-heavily racist against other dwarf.
You know, it would kind of actually be hilarious considering my own perspective on what dwarves look like has changed almost drastically. Because initially, I was just going to have dwarves look like normal dwarves. The only difference being is that they have varying skin tones and hair colors and eye colors. That was pretty much it. Now, oh god, they are literally made out of stone and gems. Now, they're actual rock creatures made out of the stone that they claim to come from. But you were asking the question, Reed.
I was just picking up. It's kind of. It seems like you take kind of the Goliath concept and then you put it into the dwarves, where it's like you got the stone people, but it's like nope, they're actually mineral.
Yeah. So, Outlanders kind of just exist in a shitty scenario where you are pulled from your life, you are dropped in this place, and you are told, yes, sometime between a couple minutes from now and the rest of your life, there's a good chance that's going to be when you go home. That's a that's a really long time to be inconclusive about. Yeah, that's your life. Welcome to it. So you mean I could kind of give up on my old life and just kind of make one here, and that could just kind of be taken away from me at any moment? Yep. But if I guarantee that I'll go back at any moment, I could be told to kind of just go fuck myself, and I'll just be here for the rest of my life while making no preparations for it. Yep, that's kind of the case. Wow, that's this sucks. Yep, and it's your problem, not mine.
That guy is doing a huge favor by explaining what the fuck
And-
might happen.
Yeah, he did
That
him
is
a
kindness.
favor explaining that far. That is an actual kindness he did him. And guess what? You would kind of perceive that as, okay, well, this guy just gave me some basic information. So I guess that's kind of cool. I guess this is normal. Meanwhile, every other person he talks to, why the fuck are you talking to me?
Yeah.
The best solution as an Outlander is, if you ever figured out, ditch your fucking clothes and walk in naked. They will
It'd be like
by
somebody
looks
robbed
alone,
me.
They will not perceive you different unless you have like tribal tattoos.
Well, that's if the skin shapers don't get to you first.
Oh no.
Oh, I haven't described skin shapers to you, have I?
Oh boy.
No, you described me
Let's go.
personally.
Okay.
Go, dog.
So skin
I was
shapers
playing
specifically are essentially, there's two forms of polymorphing, as you could call them. There is polymorphing, where you use magic to create an illusion that you are something. Now, the thing about polymorphing is it's a little bit ridiculous. So you magically change yourself for however long you desire, or until someone else breaks your concentration, and we'll get onto that. You have to believe that you are the thing you are disguising yourself as, essentially. Now, this comes with some misconceptions, some built-in misconceptions, that so long as you perceive that the thing that you are disguised as can do this, you will not break your illusion. So if you think that sheep or goats, because you've seen them like climb walls and whatnot, because it's a non-90-degree angle, they if you believe they have some sort of spider-like ability to crawl up walls, in your polymorph form, if you are a goat, you can crawl up walls. So whatever you can gaslight yourself into believing, whatever you're shaped into can do, you can do it. So long as no one can convince you you're wrong.
Gaslight yourself, become unmovable in your positions.
Exactly. Mages
I
are kind
am,
of weird in the shit that they can get away with.
Gaslight, gatekeeping, robots.
Gaslight
Shut up.
yourself into being the creator of the universe, immediately fries yourself because your body's not made for that shit.
You know, it's really funny that you would even consider doing that, because more often than not, you'll just fade into dust.
Yeah, no, your body's not built for that shit. You just die.
Well, the funny thing is that that's getting into a different thing. I'm going to continue on to skin shapers. Then we can start talking about humans
All right.
accidentally becoming God.
But wait, here's the thing with polymorph. Do you think Chris Chan would be able to transform to whatever he wants because
fuck
he
it.
gaslights
Yes.
himself every day?
It just says yes. Yes.
Do you want me to put Chris Chan as an Outlander in my
This
site?
man would be unbeatable.
Yes.
on God.
Yes. Yes.
He's gonna roll out of a fucking bush like, oh my god, the dimensional merge happened.
Chris Chan would be so flattered.
I don't know. Would they even be
to?
would the Chaos God actually do that, or would that just happen and it doesn't even know?
Accidentally creates.
He'd
Sonic
show
Booms.
up, say that line, and then disappear. And my whole reasoning for that is that it would just reevaluate for him that, yeah, the dimensional merge is coming. It's happening soon.
Oh no.
It just further throws him into fucking
Wait,
schizophrenic delusion.
it's exactly when he's picked up by the police too.
Oh yeah, that would be
Years,
fun.
there's like 5 minutes, And the police are like, well, where the fuck you go? And they leave, and then he just shows up back in an alley somewhere.
So yeah, he shows up back in an alley, and they put him back in the cop car. Everything is perfectly fine. Nothing is ever said on the matter. Have you seen the video of Chris Chan in the back of the police car
Yes,
talking
the
to
body,
the officer?
The body cam
And the oh my god, dude, pay that fucking officer. Give him a
You-
fucking raise.
if you work in this line of work, you'll meet Batman.
You like Spider-Man? It's like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, he's oh my god, that
All
entire
right,
thing.
get back onto the skin shapers.
Yes, okay, skin shapers. Skin shapers are essentially it's listed somewhere on that board, being sexually addicted to molesting your DNA. So what do I mean in that horrible string of words that I just put
Unwanted
together?
touching is what molestation is. That's what that term means.
If you want to get technical here, we can get technical. I don't think you want that.
Unwanted touching.
We
yeah.
want the stream to stay.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh
need
no,
that.
you're
I don't
Having me as the guest that's being interviewed is already putting that at risk.
and you have me here as
I don't
well
really
with
need
them.
name.
So I wonder why. Anyways, so skin shapers are essentially, you will use magic to, and of course you need to eat as much food to get as many to get as much like energy in your system as possible, because you are forcing your body to go through an evolutionary change in the matter of maybe a few minutes through through the use of magic. And this evolutionary change, you can essentially just make yourself into a chimera. You can give yourself mantis arms for fingers, an elephant's foot for an arm.
From Chernobyl?
Elephant foot.
Elephant.
I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm not going to tell you no.
Well, there's my to-do list.
Becomes radioactive by choice.
I already
I-
am.
Peter Parker!
I already am. Look at my photography.
You and your
So
fucking green filter.
It's not a filter. I took a film picture. I'll
They
display
look,
it right here.
honestly, looking at them, they just look water damaged.
They shouldn't be. That's the wrong folder.
Or they're not water damaged. Age, I don't know. They were improperly kept. Who knows? I'm not.
How could it be improperly kept? I sent it.
Oh no, man! I'm just a dipshit sitting here talking to a bunch of goofs
Behold.
about
Steve.
things that I wrote down and everything everyone thought was pretty cool.
It is
That's
pretty
it.
cool.
and that are mentally jerking you
Radioactive
off.
Put a picture up here. There we go. We're back. there.
Radioactivity.
You know what? We'll make you experience a Turkish delight, Sarge.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
no.
Stop trying to stop eating that fucking image on screen, dog.
Istanbul, not Constantinople. No, it's Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Been a long time gone. Constantinople.
Fucking Chernobyl treat.
How did Constantinople get the works? And Snowball
Yeah.
the Turks.
That's nobody's
Did
business
you know-
but the Turks.
But hey, did you know that New York used to be New Amsterdam?
Hey, if you've got a lady waiting for you in Constantinople, she will be waiting in Istanbul.
So, what I'll say about skin shaping to kind of cap it off is when you change that is a permanent change until either you change it or you wind up touching a very specific metal that we haven't gotten to yet. So, skin shaping is unbelievably painful the first time you do it. And, well, it's always painful. It is always painful. But for some odd reason, the people who enact in it, no matter how many times they do, they get addicted to that specific pain. You are literally changing your DNA to become essentially a Resident Evil BOW. You are turning yourself into a Resident Evil monster by choice. And,
Yes.
Horrors beyond our comprehension.
Chris, I don't know where I ended up.
Chris, is this your card?
God.
They're trying to feed
I'll
me,
leave that there.
Strawberry shortcake to Lenny now.
What?
What?
You said okay. I know you're probably actually talking about the sponge cake, strawberry shortcakes. I grew up when that was an actual girls thing, like a
It is
strawberry
still
shortcake, the little
a
doll.
girl's thing.
I know it is. It's just no one fucking talks about it. All they talk about is fucking.
Berry.
What, you want me to
All they talk about is
Strawberry shortcake.
American Girl dolls and My Little Pony. But then again,
Do
the My
not
Little
bring
Ponies are
him
for
power.
Do you realize that?
cars. You are acknowledged. You are acknowledged.
Well, here's the thing. My Little
Riot in
Pony
chat
and
now.
I'm pretty sure didn't both Strawberry Shortcake and My Little Pony play like on the same channel as well.
Yeah.
Activation code 20% cooler.
Wait. For today's activation code, go to MLP's main website and type "clopping."
Bruh,
Shut up. No, do not
Shut
do
up.
that.
I'll cut your hands off.
Oh,
Reed, I'll
Running
cut your
the
hands off.
servers. Don't do that to them.
no.
I'm cutting your hands off.
No.
Unnecessary knowledge read.
DEFCON 1. We're in DEFCON
Okay.
1.
Okay.
What was that thing I told you? What was that thing I told you?
Okay,
one?
okay, we're gonna behave. We're gonna behave. So, to get on track, I think it's time I start actually talking about a little bit of history. So, I'll put it this way: humans are not from the current continent that they are on. They came north from somewhere else. They don't remember where it is, and it doesn't matter. It's half mentioned. It's like a little secret. No one, like everyone who's here, everyone has been here for so long that they just think that they're from here. So the giants had their whole shebang. The elves were pissed off, unknowingly for some reason, by the humans. That humans have no concept. The elves then decided, well, okay, fuck these guys, and they built flying cities using a form of magic and technology that later would be known as artifacts. Now, this specific marriage of technology and essentially magical artifice and how the elves did it, no one knows how to do it. It is so unbelievably advanced that it is hilariously in the form of almost sci-fi fantasy fiction and how it operates.
It's Magitech. Like Magitech.
Pretty much. It's like throwing anything from 40K into a fantasy setting. It's just beyond comprehension. So when the elves, they moved all these flying cities all over the place for strategic positions. Now, the elves eventually had something that they referred to as, well, okay, how do I state this? First, you had the Age of Titans. That's when the Titans were around, the giants, the worms, and whatever the hell is in the water. Yes, that is a form of Titan. The water, the... Shut the hell up.
The blubbery creatures.
Kill yourself. So
that's just a big whale.
So whatever's in the water whispers to people, drives them crazy. That's one of the Titans. There's the giants, the mountains, they're one of the Titans, and then there's the worms, the sky serpents, they were Titans as well. So the Age of Titans passes after the Battle of Heaven and Earth. The Age of Ascent happens after the elves build their cities, and they, fly up. Humans are just like, well, okay, if they're not using that land, we're going to spread west and just take over all that shit. The Day of Descent happens, and the elves attempt the genocide of the human race. They don't get very far, because God shows up and sort of just deletes them.
No, it's Jesus. No.
Yeah, God
Oh,
shows up.
spells.
God
Oh,
shows
my.
up and shows off that he's actually low tier and just goes, "You should kill yourself now."
No, obviously Super Kame Guru.
Shut-
Ow! Those elves. I don't like them. Kill it like the rest.
Goose, do you have a tase read button yet? Can we get
There.
that implemented?
I'm working on applying that to his
Nah,
His genital region.
No, his mare death.
Time to get me
his
mallet.
area.
We're looking for pain more than pleasure here, so I might suggest maybe a little bit upper the sternum area.
You're gonna have to catch me
implant it into his
first.
hip bones.
Hey, Reed. Think fast, Chuckle Nuts.
Back to Sarge.
I don't know.
All
Maybe
right,
I'll just drive a stake in between each of his toes. How about that?
Oh
Anyways.
God, you.
Oh,
Do
you
it,
bitch.
Sarge.
All
Clear the
right, you know
thoughts.
what? I'm continuing. You were asking something, V.
No, I was telling you to get back to it.
Okay. So, the elves unmade. Now, problem here. The elves' cities are up in the sky. All the things that are keeping it up there, mainly the elves, are gone now. What happens when you have something the size of a city above the ground, and it no longer has anything keeping it up?
It fall.
It fall, and it
Okay,
fuck everything.
Jack Pass said
It
something.
fuck everything up.
Like an apple, it falls.
Yes,
Speaking of apples,
Newton's.
Oh no. No, don't you
don't
dare.
Are we
Wait.
shilling? Are we
Don't-
shilling?
don't
Still
have to ask
tied.
Oh God, you're gonna ask me this before Humo and Jake pin me down for it?
Listen, I'm not smarter or better than them, just faster.
It has nothing to do with fruit
Just faster.
rotation.
Can you
Okay.
imagine the pair?
So you're
the apple in
asking-
your mind and how detailed.
Can
is it?
I?
Oh god damn.
Okay. So initially, you could see it like buffering an old YouTube video. It starts off like a Wumpa fruit, and then it becomes more detailed. It just becomes a Honeycrisp apple. I can rotate that bitch all 360 degrees. I also have started fucking around with it. I've split it into 8 segments, individually rotating, and I've started flashing RGBs with what's that one song? Everyone does it to the RGB thing.
Caramel
Wow.
Caramel dancing.
That fucking yeah,
Whoa.
caramel dancing. Yes. I've had it do it to that. So I have a very very vivid picturesque imagination.
can
I just
taste
have
the
no
apple.
ability to fucking draw.
I can taste
you
the
had,
apple.
You had me
You-
slightly giggling at Wumba fruit.
You
Not
know,
only that, I can feel it too. I
You know,
register a 6 on the scale of 5. You know.
Yeah.
You cut the apple in half into slices and all that, and you dip
And
it
I
in
add
peanut
cinnamon,
butter. That's what I'm
sugar,
doing.
And I put it inside of a nice crust.
You stated that, so I'm imagining. Now I'm imagining getting a packet of those McDonald's apple slices that Michelle Obama forced them to have. I can rotate that 360 degrees. I can open it without any hands showing up. I can pull out one of them and I can dip it in caramel sauce. And I can taste the caramel sauce and apple.
And he goes, oh, wow, oh. Dance.
At this point- At this point, Humo can probably state that this isn't me having wizard powers. This is just straight autism.
Yeah.
It's just straight autism at that point.
Chiboko no tism.
This entire thing to him when we're done. And just be
You're
like,
a bitch.
Hey,
You
I'm
are
sure nothing
such a
comes up.
bitch. Are you gonna like grab the exact point with which we start talking about this and just like, hey buddy,
Just for you.
No, I'm gonna make him watch
There
the
you go.
God damn it.
Funny.
oh god. So anyways, we were talking about history. So those cities fall back down to Urtaf. They essentially turn the world to ash, fire, and dust. The entire area where the humans were has now become. Just think of Black Ops 2 Zombies Transit. That's what it looks like.
Oh, I remember that.
It's just-
precisely.
I know you do.
I
That's
can
why I
just
said it.
envision him telling me to get off my bus. and I can feel his metal dome hitting me out.
Yep. So, the oh god, I'm drawing blank. Oh, here we go. So the world is turned to fire and ash. The elven homeland, Alopecia, is sunk into the sea because they still had quite a few cities involving their capital fall onto that specific landmass. It sunk it into the ocean, which now, in between where a few of those areas are, which I think one of the maps shows Mildren, Gaslorn, and the Dales are on like the coast. And Mildren and Gaslorn specifically were connected to where Alopecia was. Another map will show you Bala and Jadar and southern Bala. There is a distinction. There's a reason why. So the that event itself sort of separated humanity in a little bit more of a shocking way. Now, everything to the west of what is now the Alopecian Sea, they kind of made out like bandits. They were perfectly fucking fine. They kind of got a foothold despite the less contested land that they had. Everyone to the east of Alopecia, again, fire and ash. I think there are four specifically that wound up on the eastern side of Alopecia. There was one in Mildred. There's one that went north towards Skull. There's one in the Ionan Mountains that fell in and broke through. And there's one over to the east of the Ionan Mountains that we'll get to when we get to that section, because their history sort of starts exactly at this moment. So we'll put a pin in that. Just remember, there's something east of the mountains, and they're a more interesting people that, I'll be quite honest, I haven't really managed to get too much effort into their history yet. So the world turns to fire and ash. At this point, this is the second apocalypse. The first was the war of heaven and earth. You know, humanity is near extinction at this point. Now you have what looks like, oh, this is the literal near death of the human race right now. First an attempted genocide, now the world itself turning into fire and ash. Well, another thing that kind of pissed off the elves that I neglected to mention because it would have gone into a whole fucking thing. We're getting into that whole fucking thing now.
Rant.
So there is a thing called Chosens, and this is yet another thing of chaos. Chaos loves sticking his fingers, two at a time, of course, because he's a gentleman, in his siblings' pies. Excuse me. So
when you describe hands of creation, I imagine them as literal hands. So I just imagine them doing that little finger walking thing across the table to the pies.
Pretty much, yeah, that's exactly what they do. Just imagine Master Hand, except they're like made out of different things depending on. I'm not going to get into their descriptions because that's going to be its own thing. Essentially, chosen are people who are born with something that is referred to as a radiant soul. Now, take all the information that I just told you about humans having to be very careful about how they cast magic. Throw that out the fucking window. The radiant soul, they can use that to as a catalyst. They can literally just focus on their soul as a catalyst, and they can do whatever the fuck they want whenever they want. They are gods amongst humanity. And the funny thing is that you take that concept, and it's pretty interesting itself. You have essentially won the lottery of birth. Congratulations. Now, you now take that and you go, okay, well, how can we do this? We now have demigods kind of roaming the plains, and it's only humans. Where do we go with this? Well, why not just take away the demi portion? So not only can you randomly win a lottery and become God amongst men, you can just become God of men. And you can win a second lottery, random chance, that you will just ascend to godhood. You will shed your mortal form and you will become a human god. You will ascend to a higher plane of existence, the same plane of existence as creation, and, well, you're not going to be in the sun like they are. You're more of like a roaming spirit that doesn't actually have a presence.
Like a shooting star.
Kinda. Just think of it as like atmosphere. You're there all the time. No one sees you.
Like
You're sort of
Homo
like
Deus from Ark. That they're
Yeah,
in
you're
a higher
just-
plane existence. They're everywhere and nowhere sort of deal.
Only thing is that the chosen on the west side of the Ionon Mountains, they don't know anything about what's going on the east side. This is a secret tool that we'll keep for later. So,
Gorge, Mickey, that's an awfully swell thing to have.
okay, anyways.
Jesus fucking Christ, calm down.
I can't do Donald Duck.
Neither can I. That's why I did that. So, so
You're a piece of shit.
you know what? I asked him if I could do this if you decided to get uppity. So you've gotten uppity. So now that I
No, no.
V
No, no.
V.
Ah!
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?
What the fuck? Ah!
Clock.
You're
I'll
making
do
me
it
angry.
again. I'll do it again. Put on the fucking maid dress.
No! I will not do the girl voices! You can't make me!
Oh, you're making
Put
me
the fang
Sarge.
costume on. It's time to record, V.
There's.
It's a little late for that there,
I know.
pal.
You realize you just screwed up, Sarge. You're making me edge to that gun.
Mama needs all
Oh
five
no, rule
pounds perfectly
6.
caramelized.
Hey, we got Mama Goose in here. You put your schmeat away.
God.
Then you put your gun away.
Yeah, you know what? It's down back where it needs to go, sitting completely loaded with the hammer cocked, right pointed at my shin.
Oh God.
It's fine. It's
Actually
fine.
do that, dog.
I'm just
It's
gonna kick my desk real quick. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just a Sig 22.
Yeah, just drop it. Drop it like fucking Hammer Son.
You'd love to believe that, wouldn't you?
I'm decently
It
sure.
would be funny if
I think you have a goofily sized handgun.
Anyways,
The exact
you
person
think I have a fuck off hand cannon?
You might.
That's adorable.
all I've been told
Anyways.
is that it's not a high point.
It's
Yep,
one of the
and you're gonna
farms
keep
that is
guessing, and
always-
I'm gonna keep telling you whatever, and I'm not gonna tell you what it is, even if you get it right.
Until I'm
Anyways.
Once.
I'm gonna
Anyway,
fucking continue, motherfucker.
yes. So, so humans can ascend to become gods. Now, the first one was named Ardeshk. Ardeshk was an interesting woman. She was sort of, she was more in tune with nature. And I mean that more of she was a hunter. She was more of an living out in the woods type of hunter lifestyle. Not tribal, more of just roughnecking it. Well, her and her, we'll call it a clan. We'll just leave it like that. Her and her clan that lived out there, they encountered I refer to them as this, and it's the only name I have for them because this is like prehistory stuff. The mythical Wolfman tribes. Now, these are different than something else that you'll experience in the setting, which is man beasts. Which, if you want an explanation as to what a man beast is, real quick, just imagine, take an animal, make it bipedal, make it the highest form of intelligence that they have is tribalistic. They are not evolving past the tech tree. Just think of. I'm not saying that because I'm not going to have a British company come after me. There's a specific reason I called them what I called them. So just put them as that. They can be a lot of slew of animals that you'd be thinking. And some of them have more chill dispositions towards meeting a person in the woods. Most of them not so happy to see people. So that's why they have negative connotations to them as a rule of thumb. But the mythical Wolfman tribes, they were not man beasts. They were something else. They gifted they gifted lycanthropy to Ardeshk. She was the first werewolf, as well as the first chosen to ascend to godhood. So when she ascended, she spread that gift of lycanthropy to her followers. Now, we know them as werewolves today, but they were called lycanthropes back in prehistory.
Yes, quite.
What changed? Well, someone fucked up one of her holy sites. They happened to be a werewolf, so now they all get fucked over. And now, because someone fucked up one of her holy sites, that's why they are weak to silver, even when they are not transformed, and they completely go feral and transform against their will, which, yes, I'm doing one of those things where they can change whenever they want to. Yes, I know it's cringe. I don't care. I'm cringe and I'm free. Because I think that shit's cool.
Kevin
What,
did
that
just
apple
drop the
clutch?
banger of throw 'em to the wolves and they came back Brigante.
Bruh. But anyway, yeah. One person fucks up. One bad apple ruins the bunch.
Exactly. So
Now,
the
I
reason,
think it's time to
you're
shit
probably
on
wondering,
apple.
why silver? Why the moon? Well, each god has their own symbol. Ardeshk's symbol is a silver moon. So case in point, well, if you're gonna piss on my parade, how about I make sure you remember who pissed on yours? No other guarantee than no other guarantee that you'll remember. Oh God, sorry, I'm trying to remember things as we go. So we have our dash, we understand. So the elves kind of saw this back in the Age of Ascent. They freaked the fuck out. Now there was a second one to form in the time before the Day of Descent, which was Alren of Jadar. Now Jadar is more think of Arabia. Think of the Middle East in the fashions that more like back in the day where you would imagine flying carpets, Aladdin. Just go back to the old Crash Bandicoot 3 levels where there was like all that cool shit going on. You know, back when you would look to the Middle East and you would think, hey, a lot of cool culture out there, a lot of cool mythology out there. I think I fucks with that. And now it's, well, we've been in a military-industrial complex for the past 30-so years, so I think it's going well.
Machine must feed into machine to feed into
Yeah.
machine.
Machine.
Kevin
It's a
did just
cannibalistic
how
process.
organized.
Anyways, that's as political as I'm going to get right now. So what I'll state is the Sorry, I'm having a stroke.
I do that sometime.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. If one of you could remind me where my derailed train of thought was.
Military-industrial complex. Then you talked about it. And then you said you're going to stop. And then you continue. You're going to continue from there.
What was immediately before the military-industrial complex?
I'm going to be honest. I had a stroke too at the same time.
Oh,
Simultaneous.
I got up to go to the bathroom, so I have no idea where the
Okay,
conversation
so
was.
I'll scroll
Okay,
back in the fucking.
Oh, yes. Okay. We were talking about Judar. Okay. So,
Okay, never mind.
Arabian Nights, like Arabian Days. So you have one gentleman by the name of Alren. Now that is what Mildred calls them. We'll get to who Mildred is. Now, Alren, or as people in Judar in his mother tongue would more likely pronounce it Alaren. So, what Alren is essentially the human god of is he is the human god of knowledge and learning. His whole thing while he was alive, he focused tirelessly every single moment of his life to learn as much information as possible, especially the shit you are not supposed to know about. So his whole edict: learn, write it down, make sure that other people know. Now, this is also information that when you learn it, you can't unlearn it, and it can kind of fuck with your everyday life type of stuff. So, not great, and sometimes it bites you in the ass more than it doesn't. With Alren, same instance as Ardesh, he has his own symbol, and it is the all-seeing eye. So, that one showed up, kind of kicked the elves' ass into gear a little bit faster. Now, when the Day of Descent happened and the elves' cities smashed into Urtaf and destroyed everything, there was one last one to kick off the Age of Ascent on the Day of Descent itself. Because the Day of Descent, when it ended, it started the next age itself, which was the Age of Ending. Because everyone thought, oh god, this is it. This is the end of the world. Which, I mean, you look around and you see literal hell on Earth as the world itself is torn asunder. Yeah, you'd assume that too. So the Age of Ending starts, or rather is preluded and started with the chosen named Leona from Bala, or as Bala would call it, Leona. They're more of a Afrikaani style, Afrikaani jungles. She is referred to as the Mother of Mercy. Now, specifically Mother, because when she ascended, she was with child. She was pregnant. It is widely believed that when she ascended, she gave the world a mercy and birthed the land anew. Everyone that was gone, but the land itself had been granted new life. It had been given new life from this volcanic, destroyed disaster that the Navaren had turned it into. Now, the Navaren cities were still around. Those were still around. Alopecia, still at the bottom of the ocean. So everything that was gone was gone. But the land itself was back to some sense of rejuvenated luster. So now we enter, after the Age of Ending ends, it's sort of a short one because it's all just devastation, not a lot of history there. We sort of have a reset, at least on the Eastern Front, where Mildred and all these other places are. I'm sure you can see them. Just west of the Ionian Mountains, but east of Alopecia. These are referred to as the Eastern Kingdoms. The next kingdom to come about would be Mildred, because one asshole by the name of Milindrand essentially was a warlord, and he wanted the world. He wanted the world in his hand, and he was going to take it by force. He cut a bloody streak across the entirety of Mildred, and then said, now we're taking the Dales. So, well, you have a good night, Reed.
Oh, he's gone.
Nope.
Yep.
Night, Reed.
So, are we running on? Are we running a bit too long now?
We're about at 2 hours.
Oh God. Do you want me to kind of hold off so we can answer some more questions, or like start talking about some other stuff? Because I trust me, I'm nowhere near finished here. I don't want to keep going if this is.
I know you're nowhere near finished.
I hope.
Gotta drop the whole Sarge manifesto at some point about this.
Yeah, we will have to have the entire thing recorded.
Oh God,
Do
round
we
two.
want to pivot into chat questions?
I would absolutely love some questions. If anyone has any questions based off of other stuff that I do, other stuff that I like to do, other stuff that I would be interested in. Not just the story. I know this entire thing was kind of dedicated towards the story and just sort of my
Oopsie doodles. I wasn't gonna bring
Yeah.
up the other one that you're writing right now.
the RPG.
Yeah.
Here is my answer to how that is going. Kevin kicked our ass into gear for maybe 2 days, and now it's back to being dormant. It's not canceled. It is not canceled.
I need
We
to
are
be
just
smart.
we're disorganized, and we just need to. I need to kind of focus on and do some map building,
Grab the wings.
and yeah.
As much as nobody
I
wants
just
grab
need
the
to
wings.
know. I just need to like kind of focus on and like, okay, these people are going to be here. I can build the map, kind of build all the stuff that's going to be interacted with in there. Only thing I'm going to have problems with is I'm going to need to set reminders for things such as NPCs, but not put NPCs because that's going to require me to have sprites that I don't have, which no pressure. Nothing of that sort. Just
You're telling me to start making my sprites, aren't you?
no. Is not what came out of my mouth.
I mean, I need to.
Chat
I have
questions.
such
Let's
a
go to chat
I have
questions.
such a hyper
Chat.
specific thing. Kevin does have a
Let's go to-
thing about.
Okay.
Or, he asks if you have any big stories planned for your setting.
Okay, so I have this entire setting, all of what you just heard, and like the stuff that's not said yet, is supposed to be for a story between two dudes, one who's like probably in his early to mid 30s and one who's like 16. He just turned into a man and he's a runaway from home. He is an Anushin, so his dad essentially has been abusing him his entire life, and the other dude, he's a very gruff style person. So you have an Anushin and you have, well, I'll just kind of give it away. He's a mute, kind of traveling together. They don't really understand each other at first. And, well, they sort of somewhat get to know each other, and it becomes a strangers to mentor and student to friends, to father and son, to brothers. And sort of the philosophy and psychology of going from strangers to this
Kevin.
advancement of relationship over the course of 3 years. And essentially the psychology that you would need to live in a constant day-to-day basis of, hey, I will do jobs for money. And they could possibly consist of morally dubious acts. As, you know, I got needs that I need to eat.
Alright.
I need to be able to, like, when I can, afford having a warm bed to sleep in.
Alright.
Kevin,
That's essentially where it comes from. You have the philosophy of how do you live in a world like this? So that's essentially where it comes from. And there's more in there, like overcoming the failings that one sees within themselves That's probably going to be a big one for the half elf. And learning to trust somebody that you don't know. And that goes for both of them. There's so much that you could go into, that I could go into, about just their personalities and how they, personally, as people with their own internal logics, start to evolve. But that's for when it starts actually getting written on. What I will say is 2 things are going to be solved with their story. You will get an introduction to the more detailed aspects of what it is like to be a person in a world like this. And 2, you will get an introduction into them as people. So that's what I have planned as far as big stories.
Yeah. He was also asking for some of your favorite voices that you like doing.
Oh God.
Kevin also he can come in here at any time.
I think he's content. I don't know. Kevin is Kevin. He can do as he pleases. So I like doing accents. In all honesty, I just like doing accents. I mean, Reed, you've heard me read in accents before. Reed's not here. Oates, you've heard me read in accents before. V8 heard me read in accents before.
Yep.
It's just so natural to shift from my normal voice like this to something a little bit more civilized. You talk in much more of a refined essence, or you can talk in a bit more Scottish accent where you skip a few vowels or a few consonants in here and there. It's mainly in the back of the throat that all of this happens. Or you can talk in a bit more Irish accent. It has a bit more faster talking about it does.
Don't you?
Just a little bit. It's just a little bit.
Just
Hey,
talk
and it's,
you get a few points with the lads.
Fucking
And you can have something a little bit more of you can have something a little bit more of an East Coast accent. It's real easy to shift to all these goddamn different lifestyles and such.
everybody.
Exactly. I can steal whatever. Hell, if you want Arthur Morgan, I can give you Arthur. Hold up.
Dutch,
Come on, Dutch. There we go. She got to do. Come on, Dutch. This ain't making no sense. Go out and be a goddamn man. Like Arthur Morgan, very, very easy one. I think of cowboys. I think of Good Old Boy, or I think of Arthur Morgan.
Dutch,
John, I can't think of anything without like constantly like that. That's I squeeze my vocal cords and it just sounds painful.
Arthur, look after Jack for me. I'm going up the mountain to get eaten by wolves. That's exactly what he sounds
Arthur,
like.
you post cream. We're killing Arthur. I have a plan.
Arthur,
We're gonna go to Tahiti and we're gonna build.
Dutch, that
I
money's
just
for Tahiti,
need
not
a little
Tahiti.
goddamn faith in you. I just need you to have a little faith, Arthur.
I don't know, Dutch. This isn't the strip club.
I'm telling you, this time I got it set. We're gonna go. We're gonna build us some sex bots and sell them down in Lemoyne, and they ain't gonna be able to stop picking them. I don't know, Dutch. That doesn't seem quite right. What the hell is a sex bot, Arthur? If I tell you, you're gonna say no. So let's just keep going.
That money's for Tahiti, not Titty.
So
I don't remember Micah's voice. I was always doing
Oh,
kind of rap. Like,
hey Kevin.
Arthur,
Hey, Kevin.
I'm gonna rip you apart.
We have a wild Kevin joining us.
Oh yeah, Kevin.
You're muted, buddy. Or is that by design?
He wants quicker access to the voice.
Oh, okay.
Power of the fume.
Okay. Does anybody else have any more questions?
Yes, we have a couple.
There are
Your
a few cute,
your lovely wife, Morrowind, asks, do you want to make some of the histories and short stories that are one-off of what you have, kind of like a history book?
You know, if I did, I would have to structure it So I would love to write a history book based off of what I have in the setting. Because in all honesty, I really like the history because majority of it is interacting with conflicting personalities on a political scale of king to king, monarch to monarch, or hell, lord to lord in that essence. It is mainly just egos conflicting with one another. So you have to, I'd have to start pulling names out of my ass to sort of explain things. But essentially, all of it comes down to I don't want to write an actual history book because who the fuck reads a history book for fun?
Me.
History books, no. You don't. You read firsthand accounts. That's the difference. First-hand accounts are accounts from the people. They're biased as fuck. They lie through their teeth, or they're just misinformed about what they're actually doing there. I want to do something like fucking DJ Peach Cobbler, who actually goes through first-hand events and writes a schizophrenic YouTube video about shit and releases it with even more schizophrenic shit built on top of it. I can't even count how many times he's talked about like Roman culture while mentioning the CIA. I cannot. On one hand, I lose track. So I want to structure something, in essence, that is, it comes across as a biased, 100% full of, like, this is my truth, this is the only truth. Like, complete fucking lies that you would feed as propaganda to a medieval populace who doesn't know any better. As, this is the truth, this is what we know is truth. And just have that. I want to build biased accounts. So that when you read it from the other dude's perspective, you're like, wait a fucking minute, that's not right. And sure, you could look at me and say, well, this is actively lying to your reader. You're right.
Good.
You're right. Sometimes it is a philosophy that if you lie to your reader, information that they collect later on will be more interesting. It will make it so that they are not just reading your work beginning to end and then just putting the book down. They'll think about it. They'll have to go back and consider some of the information that they were given and then process it themselves to sort of read between the lines into what's actually going on here. Give, even if it is a regular fucking account, where it should be beginning, middle, end, over. Give them a reason to go back and think about your work. Give them a reason to go back and ask questions or try and figure out what is going on here. What the hell is going on here? I have less information than what I started with, and this entire thing is just trying to give me information, but it's essentially contradicting itself in its own work. And you know what? A lot of first-hand accounts do that. It's just ripped from diaries that survived. So that's essentially what I want to do. I want to make biased historical accounts about a thing that doesn't fucking exist, that comes from the machinations of a dude who's bored at work 4 to 8 hours a day and has nothing better to do than open up a notebook and buy some decent pens so that he can write with better ink.
Man, I had to send you some like nice ass pens in the mail.
I use what is it? I use the oh god, it's like slipping my mind at the moment. It's a specific like fine point tipped pen. It's like
I feel like you said it was a Sharpie brand.
no, it's not Sharpie. It's would you excuse me for a moment so I can go actually check?
What?
Sure.
All right, sweet. I'll be back in like a second.
My mental image for this entire encounter is that just we're all around a campfire. I am a goose. That is a weasel. There is a
I found
super
it. It's
soldier, regular ass motherfucker just sitting there talking
it's a
to the
pilot.
goose.
It's a pilot pen. It's the Precision V5.
All right.
It's the clicky variety. It's not bad. I like it. I bought an entire pack of them off of Amazon because I had one and it was so nice that I got more.
Very good.
So if y'all who write with ink, which I do, I don't write in pencil because you want to know why? It's really easy to just decide, I don't want that and erase it. You want to know what hurts more? Writing something, having to cross it out.
Yeah,
That makes
it
you a little bit
solidifies it.
more cautious. That makes you a little bit more cautious about everything that you write so that you're a little bit more delicate with your work.
Also helps you solidify your choices.
Exactly. You, at that point, have to demand, okay, this is going to be something, and even if I disagree with it now, I can come back later and learn from that, which if you erase it, it's gone. You're not going to remember it.
I write with a typewriter, which is even more final, because then you have to take the paper out to
Yes.
correct it.
Yes, and you have to save those papers to hold on to that, because if you go back and you look at it, okay, well, there was something good here. I just need to rework it.
I think I've shown you the chapter, or like a page of something I wrote.
Yep, I remember it.
Straight doo-doo batter, but it was writing.
Everything is doo-doo butter until you show it to somebody.
Yeah. Jack was asking if it's possible to become a chosen later in life, or if it's just something you're born with.
You are born with it. You outright know what you are the second you have some form of consciousness. Like when you're a child and you like everyone remembers the first day that they open their eyes for real. Like for me, I was my parents were living in a trailer park. And no, it was more of like a mobile home. And it was like actually in a very, very nice place. But we were living in a mobile home, and I remember I woke up, I opened my eyes, I walked out of my room, looked at my mom. For some reason, I just knew she was my mom, and just said, "Morning, Mom." And that's the memory I have. That was the first memory I have of opening my eyes. I don't even remember how old I was. I had to have been maybe 2.
The first moment I was conscious was watching my brothers, and I knew they were my brothers, swallow pennies. Both of them are older than me.
That's, you know what? That is so fucking on brand for you. Right, Morwin demanded that I leave this joke for you. I've been teasing everybody with my setting over like little sprinklings of breadcrumbs. She wanted me to say that specifically just for you, Goose.
Yeah.
But Sierra, you were mentioning something.
Yeah, I was gonna say my first real memory, is just waking up in my parents' bed one morning. It's just that simple.
Yeah. V, was yours being told to put on the dress?
Fucking what? No, I remember my first memory of like just fucking pure sentience is just sitting in the passenger seat of my mom's car, like while like my fucking older brother and sister like are like at the bus stop getting ready to go to school. That's my like oldest memory.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird how the first memory is always like, why did I remember that?
The second oldest memory I have is punching a hole through my sister's window.
For like the second most notable, like the second memory that came up that's notable, definitely falling onto a cake.
Damn, that's crazy. Mine was watching my dad play Yu-Gi-Oh on the PS1.
God damn.
Yeah. It was either that or the kiddie pool made out of plastic, that like the hard plastic, and it had like a design of an octopus on it, and a bunch of other fish kind of strewn about it. Um, is there any more questions we got?
Yes, there's another from Jack. Also, who is
Okay.
the most well-armed nation in this setting?
Fuck, that depends on what you consider arms. Um, if you're considering land claims, Mildred has the most outright claim over other people's countries. They have 3.5 countries under their belt. They lost a war to Yolder because Yolder has an anti-magic metal. That's what Mool. We kind of mentioned it before. That's what Mool does. So if you want like landmass, Mildred takes the cake because they've beaten more people, but they've been on kind of a losing streak since.
I think he was meaning
Um,
fighting arms.
Fighting arms, probably Yolder.
Yeah,
Yolder has like guaranteed better firepower than the rest of the world, but again, they don't have magic. Which
well, they
magic
can cancel out your shit with just.
they
doing
can
magic
cancel out your
magic
shit.
bullets.
However, if I use telekinesis to pull a rock out of the fucking space and send it to you, cool. Cancel my magic. The rock is still coming.
Fair
Yeah,
point.
It's not gonna bounce it back into fucking space.
Yeah,
Well,
dog.
he's gotta be proactive. Shoot you before you.
But
throw a
again,
rock.
this is theoretical. Nothing like that has happened yet because, well, for the most part, mages are smart. They're not wise. The people who are wise are the ones who stop using magic long enough to sit down and write a book about how to use magic. They will never gain the glory that the other mages do, but I guarantee you they lived longer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that operates.
The wise guys they don't use magic for anything. It's just like I occasionally light my stove with a fire spell.
Yes. They'll just go outside, pick up a rock off of the ground, come back inside, use the rock as a catalyst, light their stove, and then just talk to the rock back outside. Or they'll just usually use the rock for a few more other things, and then the rock will turn into it'll essentially disintegrate into a blue dust that all things that have magic cast through them. Well, no, the dust itself is actually valuable in its own sense. It's sort of refined into a few things. It's referred to as mage dust or god's sugar. Now, it can be used for two things. It can be used in the process of enchanting objects, which uses refined magical essence. Or it is used in the offering when praying to gods. And the reason it's used as an offering is because it's called God's sugar because gods love it. They love this stuff. Now, you're probably wondering, why would they care?
Physical essence.
Well, the thing about God's sugar is that in like before even the age of Titans, we're talking like the age of creation. This is essentially Genesis, creation myth. It was stated that everything was dust. Everything was dust. And creation is what essentially pulled it all together and made it what it is now. So, it is believed that when you cast magic through something and it disintegrates into this dust, you are returning it to its original state within the universe.
Yes.
So you are essentially, like some people say, from dust ye come, to dust I shall return thee. I'm quoting that, but you get the point. That's essentially what casting magic does when you channel magic through something. It essentially returns it to its original state within the universe. So, interesting little thing.
How toxic is it for mortal man to eat God's sugar?
Um, how toxic is it to eat?
Yeah.
I would just like eat a brick of arsenic.
Mmm.
It fucks you.
That is
Like
the
you will die.
Yeah, you're just dead.
Either you
That's it.
ascend or you die. Quick time event.
And quick time of God.
QT time.
Single fucking microsecond frame. You fail.
I'm sure somebody's beat that skill check before.
Parry it. Skill issue.
Yeah. Morwen's asking for you to explain the mule since it was in your short story that you released.
Oh, Mool. Well, I guess this will be a quick explanation for your mom. Again, it should. I understand that it should be at some point explained, and I've looked back at the Yoldern Bounty Hunter, but you know what? I will leave it as is. I've made my peace with that. Some things are just not going to be good, or at least to my preferred. My preferred. You will never be happy with anything you make.
Oh yeah, no, that's a given. I understand that.
Yeah. So with the Yoldern Bounty Hunter, I've made my peace with it. And that sounds in its own essence like giving up, which no. Like if I keep going back and back and back and back, I'm never gonna move past it. And God help me, I enjoyed writing it. I loved dealing with Hans and Barnabas. I just need to move past it, so I just need to stop thinking about it. Not stop thinking about it, but I need to acknowledge it. So, Mool appears in its natural form as sort of a sludge. Think of like, mercury, how it melts at room temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quicksilver.
Okay. Yeah, Quicksilver. Essentially, take that. That is the natural state of Mool. Is Quicksilver. Now, when the Yolder found this stuff, because it's fucking everywhere in Yolder. You dig into the ground, you're liable to open up a patch of goopy fucking mess. Goopy metallic mess. It's all over the place. So, Mool itself is everywhere. Now, they didn't know what the fuck to do with it. No one would. You just see metallic slop and you're like, well, this is fucking useless. So, Mool essentially is anti-magic. Now, they didn't know this at the time. They were getting their borders kind of attacked by Mildred, who was fucking around, dicking on people that... They're like, hey, you're the only one on this landmass that we haven't conquered yet. Do you wanna make this easy, or are you still gonna try and fight us without magic? Fuck you, get off my land. Okay, well, here we go. And then they would torch an entire town. Because Mildred's good people like that.
Hell yeah.
So, for the longest time, they were getting their borders pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and their people were getting tortured and burned and killed en masse. And it was driving them fucking crazy. They thought this was the end. Yet again, humans being oppressed. First it was by the giants. Next it was by the elves. At one point it was by the gods themselves. Now it's each other. Now, no one knows for certain where the name comes from, but one story has sort of stuck out and sort of just been the agreed upon term. Mool gets its name from a story about a little fortress out, I'd say, in the mid-eastern portion of Yolder. So, in this area, this little fortress was getting sieged. Mages, there were soldiers that didn't really have all that much magical ability, were throwing up ladders and trying to climb up. Oh, basic ass siege warfare. And of course, Yolder, not having any form of actual ability, the main thing that they would have is they had, at the time, ball and powder technology. They had muskets and flintlocks. So they had some form of defense that they could fight back with. Sure, it wasn't anywhere near as fantastic or as easy to use as just twiddling your fingers and creating a miniature sun and hurling it at somebody. But, when you see a puff of smoke and blink and the guy in front of you is now on the ground dead or bleeding, you kind of have to acknowledge, okay, there's some value there. So, this siege had been going on for so long, assaults constantly, that Yolder had this little fortress, these poor Yolder soldiers, they ran out of oil. They ran out of oil to throw over onto the soldiers. So they had a little bit of store of this fucking metal slop. They're like, well, fuck it. Skip the heating, just toss it over. We don't have time. So they throw it over, and it hits this little fledgling mage kid right in the face. And allegedly, the name for this metal comes from the noise that he made when it hit him. So it hits him, and he just goes, "No!" And he falls off the ladder and hits the ground. Now, he's winded. He's covered in this shit. And he gets up, and he's like, oh, fuck, it's all over me. And he tries to expel it off of him. Magically, of course. This, as it would be known as, is a suboptimal play.
Oof.
As the metal then immediately burns red hot, searing this poor kid's skin and hardening. So now this poor kid is melting within his own skin and is now a statue. All his mage buddies see this and like, holy shit, Carl's in trouble. Let's go help him. So they go down there and they start trying to cast magic on it. Of course.
Worst plan.
Suboptimal play. And they just burn it hotter. And interestingly enough, when they were finished, he was well and truly dead from essentially being melted in the inside of a cocoon. They made a brass bull, but they skipped the bull part and just made it
Yeah, the fucking
like
brace
Carl.
bull.
The metal Carl.
Metal Carl.
So they did that. And funny enough, Metal Gear Carl.
Metal Gear.
All right, you
Colonel, I'm trying to siege these Yoldern victims. But the clap of the mule is too loud, and I keep alerting their sentries.
Metal Gear.
Oh, so, oddly enough, when they were finished, the metal had gone from a more iron silver, more you know how iron, when it's not like properly smoothed, has more of a darker gray coloring to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Raw iron.
Okay. Yeah,
rough.
like raw
Dirty.
iron.
Scale.
So that's kind of what it needed, just a little bit. What they were left off with was like not obsidian, but it was pretty dark. And it wasn't that they were using fire magic. They were using, they were trying to use more magic to expel it off of him, to sort of break it off of him. And it ate the magic, and it just kept burning. And it was darker afterwards. So, The mages freak the fuck out and there's like, yo, peace, and they just fucking dip out and leave all of their soldiers behind, which, funny enough, when they're on equal footing, well, equal in quotations, Yoldern fighters can kind of mop up pretty easily. Muskets versus knights in armor, so you tell me who's winning.
God,
So,
God.
spell for the siege is probably just fucking throwing boulders. I'm gonna be honest.
what?
Ripping tree
You
roots.
eventually run.
Destroying their walls. Just use magic
I
to
mean-
fucking pull the supporting beams out from under the fucking walkway.
That's fantastic. While you're doing that, you just got shot from a couple 10 yards away from a dude with a crack shot.
All right, so what I'm doing
So did
is
all the
I'm
other mages think. They thought that too.
getting a
Hey,
bundle
they
of
can't shoot
sticks
us all.
and getting a bundle of sticks and I'm burning them into god sugar to just tunnel under.
Oh. Oh, you got a bundle of sticks and you're just gonna tunnel
Burn them
underneath them?
away.
That's crazy. You know how those vibrations will cause like sinkholes to happen?
Oh god.
Guess what they're gonna fucking point directly at when you have like a now newly man-made hole right in the middle of their fort. Just like, oh well, you made this easy at least. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, but you made this easy at least.
Mule.
Exactly. They'll just point and
God.
shoot. Now, they had an Outlander show up around this time. This Outlander was from an interesting period in time. I won't state it because it will immediately color people's perception of what happens around this time. If I state what type of person appeared, I will just say he had a revolver. It was percussion cap. So not, the most innovative thing, but it was more innovative than flintlocks and muskets. Well, they were so impressed by the concept of a revolver that they copied the design and sort of perfected how the design was sort of made. And they did it in fucking everything. Yes, there are revolver rifles in my setting. Why? Because I think that shit's fucking cool. I don't care about chain fire. It's fucking cool.
Revolving rifles are fucking awesome.
They exist.
Yes, they are. I don't give a fuck about my hand. Give me a mechanical replacement.
They can do that, Shielder.
Anytime I think of really old weapons, I always like to think of fuck, what is it again?
Whenever I think of really old weapons, I think of the Italian lantern shield, which is just a shield covered in spikes and shit. And the lantern part is it's made to blind your opponent.
The original flashbang shield.
Yeah.
Rolling
it's covered in
flashbang.
spikes and shit. It's really an all-in-one. You just kind of
Okay.
point your light at them into their eyes, and even if they're in armor, they still got to see. You blind
Yep.
them, they start stumbling around, and then you fucking bash them and stab them.
Yep.
Efficiency.
The
Sith.
the
I always like to think Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember the name. The fucking. Anytime I think old guns, I always think of like the old fucking Napoleonic era fucking firearm, the knock gun, the 7-barrel musket that fires all barrels at once.
Oh, your poor fucking shoulder. Well, it's ball
Yeah, it
and
is a poor
powder,
shoulder.
so it's
It's not super high pressure.
well, not necessarily because there wasn't much kick back in the day from muskets.
Yeah, but this was Napoleonic era, and you were some like dude on a boat because it was a navy weapon.
Yeah, so you'd actually get the sensation of what it's like to fire a 12 gauge. And because he's a Frenchman, he probably cried after. No, I'm
Yep.
kidding. Napoleon era French fucked different, all right? They didn't raise their pinkies when they had sex. They've changed.
God. Anyways, continue back to what you wanted to say.
I claim this cunt for France.
VV.
So they started experimenting with what Mool was capable of. So here's how it works. Mool in its liquid form will, when it's heated or when magic is put through it, will keep whatever shape you put it through. So if you put it through a mold and heat it, it will keep that mold. Now, problem. Mool, if it bends, if it snaps, if it cracks, anything, automatically will revert back to its fluid state. So, that sounds kind of shitty. Here's the bonus. The more heat or the more magic you apply to it, the darker the metal becomes. The darker the metal is, the harder it is. In essence, you can have a sword that is fucking near unbreakable. Near unbreakable. Nothing is set in stone, of course. But that's what Yolder kind of figured out. So they went on to something that was referred to as two different names. Now, I ask you, for the past few generations, you have had your neighbors push back your borders of your home. They've kicked you, they've spat on you, they've burned your homes countless times by now. And they laugh every time that they do it. And you finally have something that outright scares them, that you can push them back with. What is the limit on what you are willing to do to them in return?
None.
There is no limit. Only what you're capable of. And only how much they can survive before the light fades. That sounds edgy as fuck. Have your homeland burned in front of you and tell me how you would imagine mercy. So this little excursion, this interaction between Yolder and Mildred and mainly the Dales. The Dales gets the shaft of it. The next few months sees an interesting take. Now, during the early days where their borders were being pushed back, they kind of experimented with the concept of tanks. Now, during this, they had full-on trains on rails, and they were building railways which would allow them to move infantry back and forth much faster. And I know what you're thinking, well, magic, why can't you just teleport there? To be able to cast any form of teleportation magic, you need to be a master astrologer. Because you're just going to think of the coordinates that you remembered last time. Oh, this will be easy. I'll just remember the coordinates that, that town was at, and I'll just teleport to that town. Congratulations. You are now in the middle of fucking space.
Moving planet, rotating planet.
Rotating around the sun. So you have to keep the coordinates of where you are in accordance with the sun, and where that town is going to be in accordance of the sun, and where the rotation is going to move based on. You have to keep track of all of this, and it's a constantly changing number, and you have to keep that going as you open the portal. So you have to do literal astrological geometric equations while focusing on opening a portal.
Gotta focus on the time, the date, the month.
All of that, all at once. So you can't. That's not humanly possible. You can try. I wish you luck. God, I wish you luck.
Wasn't there one guy who made a little gizmo to do that?
There was the theory. There was a theory that I put forward. That is something you could do. However, it takes so much time and resources to do that you would essentially... you would be probably towards the end of your life by the time you get it finished.
Well, then just pass it to the next generation.
It's in theory. However, there's a thing about having... Well, we'll get to... We don't have time for undead. We don't have
time for that.
We don't have
Another
time.
time, perhaps.
Yeah. So, essentially, the conflict was known by two different names. Yolder, naturally, from their perspective, saw themselves on a crusade to take back their land and also get some payback. So it was referred to as the Yoldern Crusade. The rest, the Dales, more specifically, who have had a very, very rough relationship since with Yolder, and Mildred refer to it as the Yoldern Massacre. I will say this, that despite everything, Yolder did not want Mildred's land. They did it to prove a point. That, if you push me ever again, I will remind you, I can do this again. I will come back to your front door, stare you in the fucking eyes, and point a loaded barrel at you. And there is nothing you can do to stop me. So, after that conflict, Yolder was given the status as a sovereign country. They have trade agreements because they're not stupid, and they understand that there's a lot of profit in being some of the best smiths in essentially that current landmass. The only ones that are about second best are the Scottish, and even then, they begrudgingly admit that Yolder is just too damn good. That's also because they have a bunch of machines helping them, but nevertheless, the fact that Gas Lornish can still get that close with just hammer and anvil and pretty much nothing else, it's pretty damn impressive.
Mm.
Man, I love how your brain works. Everything just like flows so like from one thing to the next. But it also leaves us with space for only one more question.
Okay,
And
good.
I'm gonna take Kevin's here.
Okay.
If your setting were to gain merch related to it, what would you want to be made first?
Honestly, there's a lot of crests and symbols. Like, oh shit, I forgot to send you something. Kevin drew this for one of the religious orders in.
Oh hell yeah, Kevin art. Send it in.
Yeah. He drew this one night while I was in a fever dream.
That's just how Kevin is. If you start
Yes.
skitching, he starts drawing.
What is it? Was it in pictures?
Oh, he's probably still. Well, you could ask him to send it again.
Here it is. Okay. So Kevin drew this when I started talking about this religious order. They have a very dumb name. They are the Order of the Blue Flame of Order. Can you guess which hand of creation they worship?
Let me take a look. See.
Caliente.
Yes.
Order.
Yeah. So their whole deal is they are essentially like super cops most of the time. Now, I had mentioned that the elves had created some perfect marriage of magic and technology. Now, when this religious order formed and was allowed to militarize by Mildred, they gave themselves the object. Hey, we're going to pick up all of these ancient elvish technology because this specific brand of technology can range. I am not kidding. From doomsday devices that could bring upon another apocalypse to a children's toy.
Those are my favorite.
That is the variation of works that's the variation of technology. So essentially anything you could theoretically put a battery into, that's what elven technology consists of. You look at our everyday life, how much shit can you put a battery in?
Many things.
You're using about 7 of them right now.
I'm all wired, baby.
Exactly. So they rounded up fucking all of them, and they were given, all right, you have complete diplomatic immunity. If someone tells you no, do whatever you need. So that's essentially how that goes. They are allowed diplomatic immunity to do whatever, and when they're not chasing after artifacts, they essentially act as super cops. Now, the problem with these guys, specifically as super cops, is that guards are guards. They will arrest you, they will put you in a cell, there will be a trial, more than likely. That trial will be heavily favored towards the state. You know how it is. And you will be given a punishment. The Order doesn't do that. They dish out punishments as soon as they witness a crime.
Oh no.
They enact
gone.
order.
Hands gone. Face
Hands gone, man dead in street. The local street sweeper also dead in street for not cleaning the street fast enough and allowing disorder to crop up.
Dog,
They're
you
very
got
Judge
5 minutes.
They're very Judge Dredd in a fashion. If you wanted me to put it into like video game terms, take Judge Dredd and put him in the Brotherhood of Steel.
It's fucking Adeptus
That's a bad idea.
Arbites.
Attention, citizen! Multiple third-party individuals have told you to go fuck yourself. All right.
Are you slipping into Discord mod?
What?
You're slipping into the
I'm slipping into...
Discord mod.
Hello, Keaton.
Hello, Keaton.
Daddy has a question for you. But you said Daddy a little picture.
Memes in general.
Oh,
It's a bad idea.
he said NSFW in the general chat. That's it, huh?
Dude, I know he's not watching this. Why do you think I'm able to play this? Why do you think I'm able to play as much as I am? Because I know I'm not going to have to worry about Sarge, you fucking asshole. You fucking piece of shit.
Sarge, I kill you with hammer.
Sarge,
And I'd probably do a few more
why
things
are you hanging
in
out with
fucking...
Goose? The goose is gay and retarded.
What are you with stinky startup posters?
You said we were running up on time?
I was gonna have that be the last question.
Okay. Do we have one more, or was that the last
That
question?
was the last one. It was
Also, I had a-
fucking wonderful. Just
I had an
listening
evil
to you
idea
talk
with
about your
Google.
setting and about some of your writing process.
Oh, man. It's schizophrenic in nature, and it has no flow.
Also, I just had an
Apparently
evil
it
idea.
does
with
because
Google.
you've been talking for 2.5 hours.
I can talk about it in flow. You read the notebooks, and it's schizophrenic arguments with myself.
I mean, that's just how any good world building is.
That's not world building, brother.
The world is building itself.
That's
before
rambling.
You.
So I'll leave you with this. This is my baby. This is I view this as a child of my own machination, of my own mind. And because this is my baby, it, in the same sense as the child does at a certain age, it becomes its own. And it stops learning things from me, or it stops taking orders from me, and it begins to teach me. It begins to teach me of itself, of what
Has enough
kind of
structure.
setting it is. So I stop asking myself questions of what can I add, or what would be interesting to add in this setting further. And I start asking more interesting questions, at least interesting for me, given that this all started from, again, schizophrenic delusions of what can I add that would be interesting to me? And the question now becomes, how would you respond to this? How would they respond to this? Given everything that makes them, given their culture, given their history, given everything up to that point, how would they respond?
The answer's usually not
So-
well.
The world itself has taken on a life, and now I just feel like I'm a visitor. I am a guest, I am a tourist, walking along and learning about something that I used to have a lot more control over. And now the control is not away from me. It's still in my hands. I can do whatever I want. But it's more, if I do whatever I want, I would not be granting them the service, this existence that they have earned at this point.
It's like starting an ant farm. You did all the
Exactly.
fucking setup stuff, and now the ants are working.
Yes. It is a child of its own making now.
Every little
I
being
gave it
that's part of
life.
the colony.
I gave it life, and it has formed its, well, life. There's a difference between being given life and living. And it is living after I gave it life. And I'm learning from it in that sense.
Inspiring.
All right,
Very
fellas. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk that I completely overtook the entirety of.
Yeah.
We went off the rails a few times. Yeah.
It's
I'm
gonna happen.
sorry.
It was bound to happen. I put you in a chair. I stare at you. You're on the Eric Andre set.
Dude, does that mean I get to shoot somebody and get away with it?
No.
No,
I'm
no,
just-
no!
Oh, no.
That's
Points
V,
rocket
put on the
launcher at you.
dress!
I'll shoot you back, motherfucker!
Points rocket launcher at V. Put the dress on and get to recording, bitch.
V8. Do the girl voices.
Hi,
At least give us a
Time to
moan.
be MILF.
At least give us a moan to cap off.
There.
God,
So you
He fucking did it!
He did
There
it.
you
Clip
go.
that.
One.
Live on
Oh my
screen.
god.
I
That
don't
is
care.
on
Put the
record.
plates on.
That is on record.
No, I will not put the plates on. Fuck you.
That is getting
That's the goal.
clipped, V.
I don't care if it's on.
Put it in the
It's,
soundboard.
it's not the
Yes.
dumbest thing I've ever done on the internet that's been recorded. I think there's like a footage of me like out there on the internet like eating an entire can or half a can
Hey,
of
hey,
Chef
hey,
Boyardee
this you?
spaghetti and meatballs.
I'm
in, like,
over
a
here
single second.
choiking my cannoli.
It's you.
God.
All right. Well,
All right.
I will let you guys have your little outro stuff. I'm gonna go head off and
Alright.
probably chillax for a bit because I'm all sweaty now.
But I'll say this
be
to you
over
before
there
you
reading
go.
you for in a little bit if you're still up for that.
Yeah, but before you go, you gave me an evil idea with Mool. I'm just telling you that now.
Give me I'll tell you because they did some fucked up stuff with it during the crusade.
Get it hard enough to be bullets, and shoot specifically mages.
They do that on the regular.
Ah.
The more fucked up thing that they did was they crafted a ball of Mool, and it was specifically described as small enough to swallow, too large to pass.
Alright.
And they would force feed it to people.
Alright.
And they would then
Anyways.
interrogate them and say, look, you have a ball of anti-magic that is going to incinerate your insides if you try and cast. Now, and then, like, by the time they got through 2 words, the dude was already trying to cast magic, and it would essentially detonate his
Alright.
gastrointestinal gases and explode his midsection.
Alright.
Damn.
So they started doing
Jesus.
this as a form of, like, just to fuck with them.
Alright.
Fucking terror tactics.
Yes.
That's true.
That's
I
what
wonder if
happens.
anybody's
It's that
ever
fun. Would
survived
anyone
that.
like to talk willingly?
I wonder if anybody's ever survived the ball and just like gave up magic entirely.
No.
They weren't smart enough. They didn't have the will to just give up that part of themselves.
So the thing about the gastrointestinal exploding, the shock alone would kill you. Also, because the ball is still red hot, it would probably be more than likely still connected to your intestines in some fashion.
Well, you
The
know,
viscera.
I mean,
so it would
they
still
don't-
be connected
they
to
hold
you, so
off
it
on
would-
casting so it doesn't get red hot. So they just have
Just
the
give up
ball in
magic
there
for life.
forever.
Just give up.
You would eventually die from the pass getting obstructed. So you're fucked either way.
I mean,
Remember, too large to pass, so it's
Pre-industrial
stuck in there.
surgery, I suppose.
There ain't no
Cut
surgeons.
that bitch open and rip it out.
Cut that bitch off.
And then
Then
after it's
call
out, guess what? Throw the stone away and use healing magic. Boom.
It could work if you manage to escape mage hunters long enough for someone to cut you open and then use magic. But good luck with that.
I'm just a little creature of the forest. What is the issue with me?
All right. Anyways,
All right, fellas. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah.
All right, good night, Sarge.
already
Yeah,
gone.
he's gone. Well, I really
All right.
enjoyed just listening to him talk for a while. I'm gonna be honest. Even if we ditched the traditional interview format.
Yeah.
It was just a treat to hear him. Go
Oh,
on
yeah.
so long.
It's always a pleasure to just hear him talk about Tales from Urdak.
Urdak?
Or Urdaf.
Urtaf.
Comes back and
Taf.
scream at you.
He tunes in just to hear us talk bullshit.
Sarge in 3, 2. No Sarge boy.
Yeah. Anyway, I suppose that's enough time for this stream. This is eclipsed
Yep.
what any late night television show would have by a lot.
This is true entertainment.
Yes, quite. I wonder how
So-
much this my mom stuck around for, because she wasn't here.
Well, just have to ask her.
Mm.
This
She'll
is,
probably ask you, why are you around retards?
Why are you?
No,
That
she
man was
knows.
just rambling, dog. That man was rambling. Why you? That wasn't
I
an
enjoyed
interview.
it.
Yeah.
I was trying to do very directed questions, but you know what? I enjoyed it. I didn't expect so much Urtaf lore all at once, because that was some shit I never heard of
Put
before.
on my tab.
Yeah. That was a lot of new shit for me, too.
But yeah, I suppose I should bid the audience good night and just send you away and see you later, Space Cowboy.
Good night.
Yeah. Goodbye.